Story title: I went somewhere that doesn't exist. Author name: CEO of Bitchcraft. Quite the name. So, I'm looking through this amazing subreddit and remember an odd experience I had when I was 13, almost 14. At this point in time, I was dealing with a lot of paranoia and anxiety because I would read creepypastas every night. I couldn't sleep with the light off, if I slept at all. I couldn't go down my hall without a light on, even during the day. I refused to take my dogs out at night. I was just terrified of everything. But I was obsessed with socialization. I always have been. And my church youth group was going to a bonfire event. The youth leader told us that we'd be going to this enormous property that some farmer owned. Sounded weird, especially considering a lot of the town is fairly urban, but worn down and abandoned. He said that it was near the university, which is even weirder because that's the most urban part of town. I found it just odd that I never had heard of this huge ranch or whatever. It was a small town and everyone knew everyone, especially my family. Okay, anyway, we go and it's already dark out. It's also cold, hence the bonfire idea. I vaguely remember us deciding to play hide and seek or something. We used to play this game called Zombies, and one team would be the humans and one would be the zombies. The humans got a minute to hide, no lights were allowed. If a zombie touched you, you were changed to a zombie. If they couldn't turn all the humans within 30 minutes, they lost. I think we decided to play that, on an enormous farm, the extent of which we didn't know. This was a terrible idea in hindsight. What the hell? Anyway, usually I hide with someone because I was so scared, but this time I got separated somehow. I couldn't see anything. I was walking through the woods and eventually reached a big opening with really overgrown grass. I shouldn't have been there because of snake risk, but I went anyways. I was determined to hide in the grass, on my stomach, and stay silent. Normally, I'd hate getting dirty. Everything about this was abnormal. I felt no fear despite being alone and surrounded by darkness. My phone flashlight stopped working, but I just shrugged it off. I had been on the phone with my almost boyfriend at the time, but it all got staticky and I gave up and ended the call. So I lay down flat, resting my chin on my hands, and noticed I wasn't cold, and neither was the ground. It was oddly warm. It should have been cold because it was November and had been icy the past week. I actually felt very comfortable and warm. I felt like I laid there for an hour. I never heard them. Normally they're running around calling, "Oh humans, where are you?" and being silly teenagers. They'd hush each other when they thought they heard someone. But I didn't hear anyone, just bugs. In fact, I didn't even hear nearby cars, which I always hear anywhere in that town. I found it really strange that they never thought to come this way. It was just to the left of the bonfire, through some trees. I kept checking my phone, but it wasn't working. The clock had frozen at the same time it had been when I had hung up with my almost boyfriend, 7:16. Finally, I just thought they might get worried that they couldn't find me. Surely they'd stop playing by now, and I'd finally won for once. I got to my feet, dusted myself off, and headed back. As soon as I entered the tree line, I heard them calling my name and suddenly got very cold. I burst through the trees to the bonfire and was like, "Guys, I'm right here." They'd been searching for me for an hour. I grabbed my phone out of my pocket. The clock now read 9:02, and I had tons of missed calls and texts. I explained to them my phone wasn't working out there. Out where? In the big empty field. They didn't know what I was talking about. The owner of the property explained there was no fields, only fenced-in pastures that he had locked us out of. I said, "But it was right there to the left. I laid down in the tall grass for like ever until I gave up and came back. I gestured to the dirt on the knees of my jeans. So I took them to the tree line where I'd just come from and started walking, telling them that it was just through there. But the trees never ended. There was no field. There were just woods for miles. We pulled up Google Maps. There were no fields. It was all trees. Wherever I went wasn't actually there, but I'm just glad that I made it back. Personal thoughts. So, thinking about the story, the more I read it, the more I'm convinced that aliens are involved. I know it's probably a meme by now, with me, but I think this is aliens. So the first aspect, of course, is the time freeze. Whenever time is affected, my mind's needle starts sinking towards aliens. But it's hardly only that. There are other signs too, other elements. I think that where you were hiding, the memory of it, hiding in a tall field of grass that doesn't exist, I think that was a construct. I think it was a memory your mind fabricated to protect yourself from the reality of your abduction. It actually all fits. From your phone disconnecting, not updating time, to not feeling cold anymore, not hearing cars, not hearing your friends searching for you. Actually, the more I speak about this, the more assured I become that this was an abduction event. Did you have any odd physical markings after? Let me know. And as always, if you enjoyed this narration, show it some love. A quick tap of the like button will do.